Hebrews 9:4, not a covenant, but a testament. Hebrews 9:15-17 states, and for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death for the redemption of the transgression that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. Verse 16, for where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. Verse 17, for a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth. Now we have the word testament, which is the same Greek word that is translated covenant. In the messages for chapter 8, I spoke about how the new covenant, which was specifically promised to the Jewish people, is a replacement for the old covenant, and that the church is under neither. In some ways, the new covenant has nothing to do with us, yet it is based on the everlasting covenant. The old covenant was made with the people of Israel to bring them into a certain kind of situation, which was temporal, where they had the law with the tabernacle and its carnal ordinances. All of that was a picture showing them their need for Christ. Their scriptures also promised that they would have a new covenant, Jeremiah 31:31. That new covenant has to do with the millennium. It also has to do with the restoration of their nature so that they will be able to keep a kind of priesthood with the statutes and ordinances during the millennium. The new covenant is based on an everlasting covenant between the Father and the Son. We do not have a direct relationship to the new covenant, but are beneficiaries of the everlasting covenant. Our relationship to that covenant is not direct. Rather, we are in Christ who made the covenant. We were baptized into him and have put him on, which is our relationship to anything that has to do with covenants and promises. Galatians 3:26-29. Christ made a covenant with the Father to be the shepherd of the sheep, which includes us as the first fruits of his creation. Eventually, it will include everybody who will be headed up in Christ. Everybody who will make it into the new city of Jerusalem will be a beneficiary of the everlasting covenant made between the Father and the great shepherd of the sheep. For us, instead of covenant, he uses the word testament. This shows how razor sharp these distinctions are. That is why it takes so many words and explanation to define the distinctions, because they overlap even to the point where the same word can mean refer to two different things, depending on the context. When speaking of the everlasting covenant, I refer to us as beneficiaries, not covenant parties. We are not subject to its terms, as the covenant was not made with us. Therefore, nothing is required of us. We are in Christ and we are beneficiaries because for us, it is not just a covenant, it is a testament. So there was a really fine distinction of the words here. The same Greek word used for covenant is in this case a testament, which speaks to a matter of inheritance. Once the testator dies, the will is now in effect. Now, a mediator becomes the executor of the state. Because Christ is risen, he is also the mediator. I was the executor for my father's estate when he died. I was in charge of making sure that my sister received what was hers, my stepmom got what was hers, and I received what was mine. In that sense, I was kind of a mediator. Christ is the mediator of the new covenant with Israel during the millennium, but he is also the mediator of a New Testament with us. Again, this is the same word as covenant, but with a fine distinction. Now he is talking about an inheritance for us. For us, it is not a matter of obligation that God says, I will do this for you if you do this for me. No, it is already done. And the testator has already died. You are entering in as heirs to a situation which has already been provided for you. The New Testament brings us into an inheritance. All the riches of Christ for our enjoyment from now into eternity. If you look at Galatians, it is pretty clear that when we got saved, we were adopted in to become members of God's household as if we were full-grown heirs. fully qualified to be a son, enjoying the riches in the estate, Galatians 4:5 and Ephesians 2:19. We have also been born of God through regeneration, 1 John 5:1. We were born and adopted. So as sons, not slaves, this is a matter of inheritance for us. He is a mediator of a New Testament.